Welcome, Dr. Mungali. It's good to see you again, and I look forward to being with you. Um, there are so many stories you have from your experiences. You grew up around Maharaji. You um are alive because of Maharaji, and your family was very. He was in your family. He lived with you, uh, and I wonder if you could talk about the history of like when he came into your life and what happened in the family and um, just at the beginning, if you will.
Bharat, I really cherish your thoughts about Maharajji. You see, just thinking about him, talking about him, or listening to about him,
Mm-hmm.
his leelas, his love, his compassion, and his grace
Mm-hmm.
is akin to his satsang.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it is going to be a satsang while talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you know, satsang, as the name implies, is being with the ultimate truth.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we're reaching for truth.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is that is the prasad of satsang,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
bliss,
Uh-huh.
because the truth is bliss.
Yes. 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 Yes.
See, this truth is a subjective experience of the ultimate,
Mm-hmm.
also called the Brahman or Satchit Anand.
Mm-hmm.
That is the total existence, the reality of the existence, the consciousness, and bliss, all put together.
Mm-hmm. Reality, consciousness, and bliss.
Bliss. And to this, satsang leads to. Uh, and you know, what is the purpose of satsang? Is not mere devotional offering to the guru
Mm-hmm.
or about acquiring spiritual knowledge
Mm-hmm.
or just enjoying the company of like-minded souls.
Mm-hmm.
It is in fact about you,
Uh-huh.
the you, which is not uh, the self as you know it,
Not the personal self.
not the personal self.
Uh-huh.
It is the real self,
Mm-hmm.
which has no identity, but still mysteriously you sense it as you.
Mm-hmm.
So it is about you.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it is like coming home,
Uh-huh.
coming home to yourself.
Uh-huh.
This is what satsang is all about.
Uh-huh. It's a way of aligning with our self, the self. What,
That's it.
yeah.
And you see, I have been getting comments from the viewers of those videos that I get put about Maharaji in YouTube
Mm-hmm.
that they brought tears to their eyes. They were in tears.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to them, I say, that is the reward, that is the grace
Mm-hmm.
of satsang.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose yourself
Mm-hmm.
completely, all the barriers say they simply dissolve. And what is left is the pure you.
Yes.
And those are the tears of joy, the tears of bliss. Otherwise, what we generally experience in life are those innumerable times when we shed tears out of pain, out of misery, out of sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So blessed are those who have the tears of joy, of bliss.
Mm-hmm.
So they are really blessed ones. They got the true prasad of satsang.
Uh-huh.
And I wish and I pray that you, Jeff, and everyone else, this is a prayer for everyone, that such bliss cascade upon you all.
Mm-hmm. This is one of your great gifts in life. I know you were a doctor, a medical doctor, and a healer, and you were drawn to service from a very young age. Your gifts are, as you put it one time, about brewing the joy.
Yeah,
Yes,
brewing the joy, yes.
yes, yeah, for all beings, for all beings.
That is, in fact, I would say, a kind of service.
Yes.
At the time of my birth, he proclaimed that he is my son. For me, he said,
Mm-hmm.
he gave me a name, Nimi,
Mm-hmm.
and said that he is my son, Nimi, and he will be a doctor and serve people. So this is also kind of serving, that if I serve any purpose in connecting people and him in any manner,
Yes.
in turn, I get immense joy out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a very special reward from him.
Mm-hmm. Spreading the joy.
Spreading the joy.
Mm-hmm.
And with you brewing the joy, rather, to be distributed among all.
Right, right, right. Mm. So, what do you remember uh, from as a child and later when you uh, from meeting him directly yourself and then hearing about him? He was probably to some extent just somebody else in the family, right? Someone who was around, and but yet not just one of the guys, so to speak.
Yes.
How would you
See,
describe it?
certainly. You see, this question would be for anyone else about Maharajji, that when for the first time he or she came in contact, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, the answer would be a bit different. There certainly was the first time of which I am not aware,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that I cannot have the memories. I was just born.
Mm-hmm.
But I have heard it so many times from my family members, from the seniors, that to me it appears that I was the witness. I I had the chance of being the eyewitness of that whole episode. However, uh, I think it will be more sensible to start his story right from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and which was also the reason that he could come into my life.
Mm-hmm.
See, it all began in 1945.
Mm-hmm.
Elder brother of my father, that was my uncle, Shri Harikishan,
Mm-hmm.
just happened to meet a Babaji who was staying in a Hanuman temple in our hometown, Haldwani.
Mm-hmm.
He knew nothing about him. It was just a serendipity that he met him.
Mm-hmm.
And as can be expected, he was really drawn to him. And that first meeting led to many more such meetings with ever increasing reverence and love for him.
Mhm.
And then it became his daily routine to go and meet him in the temple where he was staying. And one day he just requested, Maharajji, please come home with me.
Mhm. You
And
wanted to
Maharaj
share.
responded, yeah. And Maharaj responded, Chalo, let's go. Instant answer, let's go. And they walked to our ancestral home, which was about a kilometer from that temple.
Mhm.
And when they reached home, they were met by my father at the doorstep.
Uh-huh.
Now, my uncle, he spoke to his younger brother, that my father, in the local Kumaoni dialect,
Uh-huh.
hoping that Maharaj would not understand what he was saying.
Uh-huh.
And he said, uh, look, this Babaji has come with me. If you think it is right, take him inside.
Uh-huh.
Or else, if you think it is right, take him inside. Or else, depart respectfully
Uh-huh.
from here. See,
Yes. Yes.
now my father says, and well, you can very well imagine how many times he would have said, reiterated it again and again. I have heard it so many times that it feels like that even I was present there.
Mhm.
Though I was born almost 5 years after this incident, but to my memories, the description has really made it alive. So my father says they were standing right in front of me. I looked at him. When I met his gaze, I don't know. I cannot describe what happened. I think, well, I was struck with kind of thunderbolt
Mhm.
of undescribable emotion. I had never had this kind of experience ever before in my life. The next thing I knew was that I was prostrate on his feet. And he was lovingly picking me up, holding me by my shoulders.
Mhm.
He made me stand. On my cheeks, my tears were flowing, and he himself was in tears.
Mhm.
It was simply, I was almost speechless, but I don't know how I could manage to say. I said, Maharaj, bhitar chaliye. Maharaj, come inside.
Mhm.
And he said, Chalo,
Let's
yes, let's
go.
go.
Uh-huh.
And he walked him in the house into the next adjoining room.
Mhm.
And Maharaj, just settling himself on his bed, said, I have come home. Hum ghar aa gaye.
Mhm.
I
Settling
have,
on your father's bed.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
that was his bedroom. That happened to be his bedroom. And Maharaj settled himself on his bed, saying, Hum ghar aa gaye. I have come home.
Uh-huh.
And father says, and thus he walked home and into our lives forever.
Uh-huh. Uh,
Um, Imagine and see, my father and they had a very different kind of relationship. I I I have not found any other such relationship of any person with Maharajji as he had. He was so open with him, absolutely open. He
Your
could say
father.
anything to him. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So after now a similar incident. See, then our family, it happened to be in Nainital.
Uh-huh.
We had a tradition of shifting to, the whole family would shift to Nainital in summer months.
Uh-huh.
And in winters, they will come down to Haldwani.
Uh-huh.
So at that time, the family happened to be in Nainital. And father was almost alone, all by himself in Haldwani home. And Maharaj happened to call in in the evening. Well, somehow father managed to take care of him, serve him the best he could.
Uh-huh.
And in the morning, you see, whenever Maharaj would be anywhere, not only in our home, anywhere,
Uh-huh.
the masses will spread like jungle fire. And people will start coming for darshan.
Word got out.
Yeah. And the place would be filled with those visitors. So, as was expected, people started calling in the morning, one after another. And soon there was a crowd. Now, father was, doubtful that can he really manage the crowd of the people and serve Maharaj properly. So he had doubts about it. And in the crowd, there were many devotees who were requesting Maharajji, Maharaj, please come with us, please visit our home, bless us.
Yes.
Now, my father, he saw a chance in that. While people were requesting him to visit their home.
Yes.
So he saw a possibility of getting rid of Maharajji.
Take the load, take the pressure off, huh?
Just that. So he said, Maharaj, you see, you know that I'm all by myself here, am I alone? Perhaps I cannot serve you well. And these people, they are demanding you to visit their home. Why don't you go with them? You'll be more comfortable. Maharaj said, why? Why should I leave my home and go to others' homes? No, I'm not going anywhere. He said, but Maharaj, He said, no, nothing. I'm not going anywhere. And Bharat, soon after that, the devotees started coming with platters of prasad, food, sweets, fruits, and everything. And the crowd, the crowd increased in number. And so the piles of those edibles.
Piles of edibles.
Piles of edible. And Maharaj was so freely distributing as usual his prasad to everybody. And there was a kind of bhandara. And then, of course, the ladies who visited at that time, they occupied the kitchen. And soon the tea was coming out of the kitchen with, the semolina pudding, halwa, and kheer, that rice and milk pudding.
Yes. Oh, yes. I love it. Yes.
And there was a fervor. There was a bhandara. Everybody was rejoicing. At that time, Maharaj said to father, look, is there any problem now? You said go away with them. Is there any problem? Then he said, Hanumanji takes care of everything after all. Hanumanji takes care of everything. You see, he has taken care of everything. Well, father had nothing to say after that. Anyway, he stayed on for another week. And together, after a week, they travel to Nainital.
Ah. Ah.
So this was again home, matter of home. One
Yeah.
day he said, Maharaj, please come in. And he came in home. He was home. And in another instance, after some time, he said, Maharaj, go with them. And he said, why should I leave my home? Why should I go with them? I'm not going anywhere. And Bharat, there was a similar incident in the later years. And I remember it because though I was a school student at that time, but I still remember that. It was in Kachi. So should have been around 67, 68, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in those days, Maharaj used to stay in Kachi for pretty long times at a stretch. So someone again there asked the same question. Maharaj, when will you visit my home?
Mm-hmm.
Maharaj looked at him in his familiar style, closing one eye slightly and staring at him intently. And then replied, why? Why should I come to your home? Why should I come to your home? Because the fellow had asked my home.
Yes, right. Assuming separation.
Assuming separation, yeah. My and yours. Then he said, why should I come to your home? It is your home. You stay in your home. Okay.
Yes.
This illusion of I and my, you and yours. Mm-hmm. This very question was asked by Lakshman while they were in exile. Yeah. He asked this question from Rama. What is the nature of Maya, the illusion? And Ram said, मैं और मोर तोड़ते Maya. I and my, you and yours is illusion. I and my,
yes,
you and yours is illusion. Yes. And that has imprisoned all beings. Very simple. So love is out of Maya. What is I? What is my? What is you? And what is yours? Where there is love, there is no I and there is no my. There is no you and there is no yours.
Yes.
So see, in a way, these are the kinds of the teachings Maharaj would utter. And fortunate are those ears and those minds who could really get the message. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Otherwise, that he never taught any scripture, any philosophy, nothing. And most of the times you will hear him yelling amid the crowd, yelling at someone, scolding someone, hardly completing his conversation with at any time. If he is talking to you, right in the middle of the conversation, he will simply redirect his attention to someone else. And just a few words or a sentence and incomplete, and then again attending to someone else, shifting all the time.
But intensely present.
Intense, yeah, but intensity, yes.
Yes.
Undeniable. It is undeniable.
Yes.
You can just imagine him sitting on his takhet, donning that famed blanket. And even there, he would not be still. Always shifting, turning, tossing around, sometimes lying, sometimes sitting, supine, hitting someone for no reason, scolding someone. And all the time he would be uttering, jao, 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 to visitors. That means go away, go away, go away. Jao, prasad khao. Take prasad and go. So what now? People will not leave him. They will just keep sitting around. And when he will say, I told you to go. Why don't you go? So what would they do? They'll just get up, roam around somewhere, and return back, of course.
like bees are at honey. Yes, yes. His presence was his teaching.
His presence was, yes. His
Yes.
presence, I think, see, people talk about his miracles. Miracles means that can what cannot be explained, but it has happened. So that is a miracle, isn't it?
Hmm.
In very simple words.
Hmm.
An unexplainable event is miracle. And they were common with the Maharaji. And for the devotees who were pretty near to him, they hardly paid any heed to it. Even in our household, said about such things. Never.
Hmm.
They were not mentioned at all. They were taken very casually. Casually that he can do anything is okay. But what everybody felt was that his greatest miracle in itself was that nobody would leave him. What was that pull?
Hmm.
That, you know, the, that kind of force, like gravity.
Hmm.
Gravity varies from place to place. It's
Yes.
different here, is different on moon, in different somewhere else.
Yes.
But the gravity that worked around him
Yes.
was far more than that. It attracted hearts.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And nobody would want to leave him.
Uh-huh.
That was a miracle. And it continues. See, his physical presence does not seem to have made any difference in it.
Hmm. He has
It is
more
equally
devotees
potent
than
as it
ever.
was during his lifetime.
Yes. What it was that magnetism? What would you call that? What was the pull? What was his gravitational pull to people? What people long for?
Well, it is hard to describe, Bharat. I would say, because I have been in the presence so many times over. You What was that? Can it could be felt.
Hmm.
And since you come from the field of psychology, psychiatry,
Hmm.
there is a word, neologism, creating
Neologism.
new words.
Yes. 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 I like that word. Yes.
Neologism. So maybe to be able to explain that, one will have to delve into neologism,
Hmm.
because that is the kind of feeling that can be felt. It is just like, uh, I taste sugar and I tell you that it is sweet,
Yes.
but no amount of my description about it
Hmm.
can really make you understand what that sweetness is. So it was with Maharaj. It was something. It is not only that, it was in those times when he was uh, with the people in his flesh.
Hmm.
It continues. Don't people still feel his presence? I have. I have.
Uh-huh.
So I know it has not made any difference.
Uh-huh.
We'll come to that part of the story, of course, in appropriate time.
Yes.
So, but yes, of course.
People want to come home, don't they? We all do, don't
Yes,
we? Yeah.
we all do.
Yeah.
Now, how you can say that, well, you felt the force that pulled you towards him.
Hmm.
It continues to pull you. But what it is, how it works, I think it is Leela.
Hmm.
Just watch the play
Yes. Yes. Yes.
with no explanation ever required. It's like a child's play.
Hmm.
Just brew joy out of it
Yes.
rather than analyzing it.
Yes. I remember you talking about your birthday one time, and what a grief.
Yes, my birthday.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
this story has been told many times, but it always, to me, it remains so fresh, so crisp, and moreover, it pertains to him. It is his Leela, and it is his grace that no matter how many times I tell it, it retains its fragrance, its sweetness, and its divinity.
Mhm.
So I will not hesitate in telling you once again. It happened so that it all started that Maharajji was with my father in Haldwani, and rest of the family was in Nainital.
Mhm.
So he had been with the father for some days, and one day we have a little farm there. So together they walked to the farm where he told my father, "Look, my father's name was Bhuvan Chandra." He said,
Mhm.
"Bhuvan, look, don't go to Nainital before the sixth day of your son's birth.
Before the sixth day?
Not before sixth day.
Okay.
Go on the sixth day, not before that."
Okay. Okay.
So my father used to say, "Well, even without see the present day scans, he had told me the outcome of what I was getting. I was getting a son.
Mhm.
So he had declared it,
Uh-huh.
the birth of a son. I knew whatever he would say would be right, is all truth. But he himself went to Nainital, leaving behind my father. After a couple of days, he went to Nainital himself.
Mhm.
Bharat, when I was born in the morning, see, I hardly showed any signs of any vital signs, except for that I was breathing.
Mhm.
I had no reflexes. I did not cry. I did not wince. Now, as a doctor, we call it Apgar scale. I was pretty low on Apgar scale.
Mhm. What
But
scale is
those
that?
days, that is the scale of assessing a newborn's status.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You
So you are
scored
required
low.
to score pretty high on that.
Yeah.
So I was pretty low on that. See, but at that time, medical practices, people hardly took help of medical practices, and even the infant mortality rate was pretty high,
Mhm.
and it was considered, well, not a very unusual. People simply accepted it.
Mhm.
So I was put aside. I did not suckle on my mother. I did not urinate. I did not cry. I hardly had any movement. So my chances of survival appear to be pretty low,
Mhm.
very grim chances. I was put aside.
Mhm. Nearly
And somewhere
stillborn.
in, yeah,
Nearly stillborn.
I was nearly stillborn. Yes, that would be not too exaggeration of the situation.
Uh-huh.
It was like that. I was put aside, assuming that I will not perhaps not survive.
Mhm.
But then Maharaj happened to call him. And as he settled on his usual takat, which was always kept ready for him, because he would come unannounced anytime.
Mhm.
So, settling himself on the takat, he yelled, "Bring the child to me."
Mhm.
nobody seemed to pay any heed to what he said. They started serving him. He waited and then repeated, I said, bring the child to me.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
Yes.
The family was attending on him now, but not complying to what he has said.
Why was that? I mean, it has to do with the relationship with the guru, what you offer the guru, right?
Like,
The why you referred in the past to the offering to the guru. Why would someone bring the guru a nearly lifeless child?
oh yes, that's very true. But then he insisted,
Yeah,
then
right.
he insisted that I said, bring the child to me, whatever
Yeah.
it is. The third time, he is scolded. Don't you listen?
Hmm.
Bring him now.
Yeah.
Give him to me. So my aunt brought me to him, covered in a sheet, and placed me near the takat on the ground.
Hmm.
And nearby, a coal brazier was also there, burning, which was customary in Nainital for heating purposes, heating the room.
Hmm.
And he was sitting on the takat. Then he said, remove the sheet. They removed the sheet. I was lying on ground. Then he lowered his right leg
Hmm.
and placed his great toe on my lips.
Hmm.
As he touched my lips with his great toe,
Hmm.
I started sucking on that. I started suckling his great toe.
Uh-huh.
And everybody was curious that what is happening.
Hmm.
And when I started suckling it, he is said to have bent and picked me up and into his lap.
Hmm.
He took me in his lap and he was stroking my head.
Hmm.
At that time, I passed urine. I peed in his lap.
Uh-huh.
And the stream of the urine, it fell on the coal brazier, raising a dust of ashes, smearing me and him both. And I cried. That was my first year.
You were alive.
I was alive.
Yeah.
And with that cry,
Yes.
there was a rejoice in home. Everybody was happy.
Uh-huh.
And then at that moment, when I cried, he
Yes.
said, this is my son Nimi.
Uh-huh.
He will be a doctor and serve people.
Uh-huh. Beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful.
He is my son Nimi. He will be a doctor and serve people.
Hmm.
Just think. But I have heard this story so many times from the senior members of my family who were present at that time. Now almost all of them have gone. It's such a long time. Even Maharaji is not in his body. But the story is there. Of course, there is an intense feeling in me whenever I think of it. Rationally, you cannot expect anyone to have memory of that time when he was just born, few hours old, just
Hmm.
a few hours.
Hmm.
But I tell you, I feel his lap.
Hmm. Ah.
It may sound crazy as it is, but I don't know whether the feeling is in my head, in my imagination. But whatever it is, I don't even bother. it is very much real for me. I was in his lap. He gave me my name. He gave me life.
Mm-hmm.
He brought me back to life.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me name. He gave me a purpose for my life.
Mm-hmm.
And proclaimed me his son.
You were
What
in his
more
lap
one
from the
can want ever in life?
Mm-hmm. You were in his lap from the beginning.
Right from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.